Hello, and it looks like you have survived the first video, so let's look at the second one. This is in our Bagua series 8 trigram palm basic mother 8 palms. Now in this video I want to show you the basics of circle walking. It's important to understand how to travel around the circle, to move around the circle. And so I want to show you that. There's been a lot of misconceptions about how to walk the circle. When you walk the circle, you want your feet to almost scissor step. Okay? So if the edge of each of these mats delineates the circle, to mud step, what you want to be able to do is take your foot, slide it along the edge here. That's why these mats are here. And you can pull it like this and you cross it over. You don't want to turn this in. If you turn this in too much like this, you're going to get closer and closer and closer to the center of the circle, and that's not the goal. The goal is to stay on the circle itself. So I'll show you and I'll explain the palm changes. I'll show you 3 single palm changes, and I'll tell you the difference between the single and the double palm change and the smooth palm change. But if I start out on the circle, I always want to start out with my closed side to the center of the circle. So as you can see here, this will be my closed side, this side will be my open side. So I want to always start counter or anti-clockwise on the circle. And this is here. I come out with turn and press palm, and I'll show you that. But here we're concerned with how we walk the circle. So I slide along the circle, and my feet need to scissors to the circle. Corner to corner here will be the track. The track is about as wide as your shoulders and hips, or just inside them. So you want to pretend like you're always in a tube, okay? So that you can slide along the circle like this, you see. You can see that as I come around here, my feet are crossing. I'll give you a closer view of that too, so that you can see what I'm doing. Now the way to stay on the circle is there are 3 types of stances. One is just called your general bow stance. So if you can see that I'm on the circle, you can see my back foot here, that we're just walking the circle like this. So it's just a straight circle walking. You see, you want to scissors, your thighs are supposed to just almost scrub together, and your feet are supposed to scissors step. So I want to start on the circle on the closed side, so that'd be this way. And this foot will come this way. It doesn't turn out like this. So you want to stay on the circle by doing this, and then your other foot would cross it. Okay? So this is how you would do it. Now, that's just called a mud step. Your whole flat of your foot should set down. You don't want to heel to toe it. You don't want to do that. You want to be like that, so that the bottom of your foot, kidney 1, really just strikes that first. Now, kidney 1's on the bottom of your foot, and I'll show you that. When you make this step, you're just going to cross it back over. So you start here, then you would cross over. Now, what you also want to realize is there are 2 other types of steppings. There's the toe out stance and the toe in stance. The toe out stance is always, to me, moving laterally, moving away from your center. So that will be this kind of step. It may be going towards the center of the circle, but it's measured by how it's coming from your inside line, from your center line, out and in. So this is a Bagua stance. That's the toe out. This is a Bagua stance, which is a toe in stance. So you have your bow stance, and you do mud stepping with the bow stance. then you might get somewhere. Sometimes this inside step right here called cowboo, this is sometimes called buckle step. So it's important to remember these three methods of stepping on the circle. If not, you're going to turn your foot in too much, or you don't want to cross this one over too much. So it stays roughly parallel, but you can see that the side of my foot's parallel, and as it gets further down here, it turns, and so it's always has this slight curve to it. But this one has to cross over. So you'd start like this, then you'd make your step over like that. Okay? So those are your three steppings. Your bow stance, mud stepping, Bagua, okay, which is toe out, cowboo, which is toe in. So those three types of steppings you'll be doing when you're performing this Mother 8 Palms form. Now, something else that's important about mud stepping that you need to realize is you don't simply just take a step, stop, take a step, stop. What you're actually trying to do is remain moving constantly. That's Bagua. It never stops, and it's always changing. So when I take this step, I don't really want to come out here and just step and walk. Normally, I have to sort of slide the foot along. So to demonstrate it, I'll demonstrate it with this first move, and then I'll explain how to make this first move as you walk the circle. But I would start with my dantian. I'll come down here with what's called droop down palm. This puts me in song, or to sink to the lowest place naturally. Sink down palm. From here, I'm going to come out. I cross my hands here. I'm going to come out. I turn everything over. As I turn, I want to make sure that my hips are trying to stay on the circle and my torso's turning inside my hips. So I don't want to take my hips and when I step out here to come out like this and really take this side over here and collapse it. It's important that you don't do that. There's a lot of reasons for that, but it's important that you don't. You want to stay symmetrical. So when I bring this out, if I bring this in, I can collapse. So you don't want to get collapsed. There's people that do that. There's people who close this up like this. That's not what you want to do. When you do your droop down palm, you move your hands out like this, you turn it over. This is also called turn and press palm. So as I turn, the way I move my spine causes I'll do it this way just so you can see. When I bring this up like this and I turn to step out, you see I'm moving my spine, and that's pressing the palm open like this from the wrist. So you want to hollow your hand. But in the stepping itself, and I'm just going to do the stepping now, you're going to cross over, and there's going to be a little slide at the end. You don't just step like this. This is incorrect. You actually want to have a little slide. See how I sort of reach out there? See, so I'm reaching out. You see how I'm staying on the circle itself by crossing over here. Okay, so that's important. The next thing I want to show you is how to do dragon stretches its claws, or sometimes called turn and press palm, which is turn and press palm is very accurate, because when you do droop down palm, and a lot of people shake right here at this droop down palm because they're getting used to separating their inside from their outside. They want to sort of move their flesh around their bones. It's a very good qigong. You have to be separate. In an internal martial art, you're moving from inside to out. So as I step out like this and droop down, so I might here. Now I cross my hands. I come out like this. You can see that I'm touching places here. This is touching a lot of acupuncture points right here at the junction of the wrist and the forearm. You're turning, and as you turn your body, I actually want to turn my hip bones this way and my torso that way. So if I was going this way, I'd turn my hip bones that way, my torso that way. so that I can get good separation between the torso and the hip bones. That's important. Then I'm going to press this out. As I breathe out, then the spine itself is going to cause the palms to open as I step. And you see how I hadn't collapsed here? So by turning the hip bones this way and the torso that way, I have balance and I don't collapse. That's something that you really want to work on doing. You won't be perfect at it to start with by a long shot, I assure you. But it's something you can work on. That's why you do this, so you can work on certain things. If you don't do it that way, you're just doing an external martial art. You're still doing it stiffly. What's the point? So as I turn and do this, you'll see that I actually also hollow the chest, tuck the tailbone, tuck the chin, get the Bagua point and the Wailu point lined up, and keep it that way. As I stretch out here towards the center of the circle, I want to keep my finger here between the index and the middle finger on the center of this pole. Okay, so if you had a higher pole, you would keep it right there on the center. You don't want to bring it down here. So I just did this it's short because I just needed something. But you really want it about this high. You want to think about this high, so that you're right between your index and middle finger looking at it. Now, you can look at it through this area here, called Hauko or tiger's mouth. It's okay to do that too. It really doesn't make that much difference. But you don't want to move your hand off of this center. So as you walk the circle, you're going to be facing the center all the time. Okay? You're always going to be facing the center. You're going to take an even number of steps. Normally 8. Ba means 8. Gua means trigram. Song means palm. When you reach out, you want to do the dragon palm. So as you do this, you want to hollow your palm like this, so it's not stretched out flat. You hollow the palm. The Laogong or pericardium 8 point stays retracted. So as you come out like this, you're going to press the palms forward, rounding yourself from your back. So you want to move the flesh around your spine this way, so that you have this hollow chest look. And you press this outwards like this, you walk the circle. Don't let it collapse. So if I'm walking like this, I don't let this come in here and collapse. You'll see that happen a lot of times. This is collapsed. Don't let that happen. Keep pong, because song is to sink down to the lowest place naturally, so that you can have a good pong. So pong can have an anchor. Anchor, or pong itself, not the anchor. Song is the anchor. So pong itself is the rising up and expanding energy that really can't exist properly without song sinking down to the lowest place naturally. So these two things are very important all through Chinese internal martial arts. So it's sinking down, and then don't push yourself up in the air. I often tell my students to pretend like you're walking under a wire, so that you can't touch it. It's an electrical wire, you can't touch that. And you're staying inside a tube, so that you're always having to configure yourself around a tube to do anything, so that your opponent's punch or vector of force is coming down the tube on some angle inside the tube. And as you encounter his force, you must turn in order to configure to the tube. That's a good way to dissipate force. If you go to our website, you'll see how to. We teach the dissipation of force principle, not to try to overcome force with force. That's antithetical to the origins of martial arts to start with. So when you come out like this and you step out, you see I've got this turn. So I'll do it this way so you can see it. If I was going this way, I'm not going this way to start with. You always start counterclockwise. That's the yang side, yang li jin. Best I can tell the reason for it. I was always taught to do that anyway. And so if I come up like this, you can see I'm crossing, turning, stepping out. I'm here. Okay. If I did it this way, which is not on the circle, but if I did it, you can see it. I come out like this, I turn, I'm this way. You can see this is open. The chest is hollow. The chin is back. I'm looking through this point right here. Okay? So those things are important when you're walking the circle. Now, I will show you in the next segment how to do the first palm change, and I'll explain the difference between a single palm change, a double palm change, and the smooth palm change.